We can speak now to Saeed Taji Farouky, who is the spokesperson for Defend Our Juries, the group which organised the event. Saeed, very good afternoon to you. I suppose the first question is, why?
Why? Well, I hope it should be very obvious at this point. I mean, there are several reasons. One is the people are desperate to show that they refuse to simply sit back and see a genocide unfolding, a genocide that this government is also participating in. But the second is also to show that they disagree with the prescription of Palestine Action as a direct action group. It's the first time a British direct action group has ever been added to the terrorist list. It's unprecedented. And the third is to show that the law itself is unworkable, that it can't actually be implemented by the police in any practical sense when you have 1,000 people willing to break the law at the same time.
Let's dissect that then a little bit if we can. So, I mean, the first one, in essence, is, and the Metropolitan Police were clear about this yesterday, you can clearly protest with the issue of Palestine, with what's happening in Gaza. You can take to the streets, you can hold a protest. It's the support for that prescribed organisation that is illegal. It is not protesting around what's happening with the war in Gaza.
That's what the government said, and that's what the government promised when they passed this legislation. But it's pretty clear that that's not what happened. I mean, there are enough examples of the police incorrectly applying law that when the judicial review went up to the High Court, the judge himself said he was very unimpressed by the way the police were handling it. He even said it's clear the police don't understand the law. And he was referring in that case specifically to Laura Merton, who was threatened with arrest because she had a sign that said, "Stop the genocide in Gaza." So you say, and the state will say, that we still have the right to protest, but it's clear that there's been a chilling effect, meaning people are terrified of even ordinary protest that has nothing to do with Palestine Action. But the demo itself was also to highlight the inconsistencies in passing the legislation to prescribe Palestine Action.
And do you agree with the direct action was taken, that the action that led essentially to Palestine Action being prescribed, the attacks at RAF Brize Norton?
Well, you know as well as I do, I have to be extremely careful about what I say about Palestine Action now, right? I'm a former activist with Palestine Action, but the limitations are very clear around what people can say about Palestine Action. But I'll say in principle, and you know, the law in this country would even agree with me, direct action is still a legitimate form of protest. And direct action is not a form of terrorism. The state, again, agrees with me on this. And particularly in a state of emergency like this, with an ongoing genocide in which our government and military is actively participating, I would say it's more essential than ever.
And is this now a concerted effort to overwhelm the judicial system? I mean, there's no sign, I assume you're suggesting these protests are going to continue.
The protests will continue. I mean, look, whether Defend Our Juries arranges them or not, the protests are going to continue. It's clear that there are tens of thousands of people so incensed by what they're seeing on their screens every day that they're willing to be arrested. So that's very clear. But the purpose has never been to overwhelm the police. I mean, that's a byproduct. That's a byproduct of the police choosing to arrest or try and arrest all the protesters. In fact, there were many, I think several hundred by my estimation yesterday, who were not arrested because typically the protest ends at 2 p.m. and by 2 p.m. there were several hundred unarrested. So I think it's very clear from what happened yesterday that the law anyway is impractical and cannot be implemented properly.
And so just very finally on this, though, isn't the concern that this is now becoming an issue less about Gaza and more about who the police can arrest or not?
No, this is a means. I mean, this is a tactic that's intended both to highlight the genocide, but also the British government's complicity and participation in the genocide. So the police are doing what the state has decided. The police are arresting people based on the legislation passed by the state. The state passed that legislation because it seems to me they cannot tolerate dissent against their policies on Israel.
OK, Saeed, we appreciate your time on Sky News this afternoon from Defend Our Juries. Thank you.